We don't seem to have Barry.
Unfortunately, you won't be able to see your husband today.
What?
I'm not about to let Amunet turn me into a weaponized slave.
Trust me.
Come on, let's move.
Is he safe?
Oh, he couldn't be more safe. Barry's completely unharmed. You can rest easy. He's in good hands.
Tell us what you
I
want.
want a car. Something eco-friendly. And I better not see the Flash either.
Believe in the impossible.
Impossible.
That's impossible.
Well, that's the same.
I am the impossible.
Stop shooting him! I am not shooting him!
It's a party now.
I'm taking him to the hospital.
The Flash, Tuesdays at 8, 7 Central on the CW.
Hey everybody, it's time for a prison break on The Flash, and it looks like they're going to be going on break for a couple weeks after next week's episode, for at least 2 weeks, so I'll explain the schedule again at the end of this. They also dropped the prelude for Flash War, which is going to be badass, so I'll explain what's going on with that at the end of the video. But the whole deal is that Barry is stuck in the metahuman wing with the other bust metas that are in there. There's only 4 of them that we see in the trailer, but if you haven't seen them in a while, it's Black Bison, Hazard, Kilgore, and then Dwarf Star from last week's episode, because they just locked him up, so naturally he'd be right in there. And the whole deal is that they don't know that he's the Flash, they just know that he's a metahuman like them because he's locked up in their special wing. So part of the episode, like as you can see, he's MacGyvering his way out of that prison cell using special chemicals instead of trying to use the Flash powers so that he doesn't have to completely give up his identity because he's not wearing his costume. So the minute that the Speed Force manifests around his body, they would know instantly who he is. But because Hazard's standing there and nothing's on fire, nobody's getting hurt, I'm guessing that they all have metahuman power dampeners on, because otherwise she would just passively give everybody else bad luck and their escape attempt would fail immediately. It's a little Shawshank because they probably do escape, but also a little escape from Alcatraz, meaning that not everybody escapes the legit way, because you see Barry going up against them in the prison yard with all that metahuman riot gear. Remember, that's the riot gear that we saw during the Black Bison episode that she turned into a golem. Remember, they had this badass new gear, they're like, alright, let's play with this a little bit, and boom, she turns it on and it starts going after them Terminator style.
Frontal impact deflection panels, a dual filter gas mask, so you don't cry in your own supply. Any questions?
A lot of this storyline is borrowed from Jeff Johns' Thinker storyline in the Wally West era. What happened is a bunch of metahumans got locked up. There ended up being this big prison break. Now, the circumstances were very different, but the whole idea was that there was all these metahumans that just bust out. And it was a huge prison break story, but it was sort of adjacent to what the Thinker was doing. So the blacksmith of the comics was never really working hand in hand with the Thinker. They were just doing 2 separate things in 2 separate cities, in Keystone and Central City. They both hated the Flash separately, but the Thinker had his own plan that he was doing all by himself. The Thinker of the TV show is sort of using all these things to bring about his goal. So it sounds like he's also using Amunet to buy all these metahumans. But the idea is we don't know what technology she's using to mind control them, so she probably has a metahuman that enables her to take control of them mentally. But a lot of you saw Barry get thrown into that cell at the end of the last episode, and you're like, wait a minute, didn't he bust out of the pipeline prison in episode 1 because he was so powerful after coming out of the Speed Force? What's up with that? Like, how come the prison cell's able to hold him? They didn't really explain some of the changes in his head since he came out till more recently, where they addressed the gibberish that he was speaking when he came out, like, we're gonna need more diapers, and like all the lines of dialogue that he spoke from previous episodes and stuff that's probably gonna happen in future episodes. He was like, yeah, I have no idea what I was talking about, and he barely remembers what was going on. So as far as he knows, the information about the symbols is either trapped somewhere in his consciousness just waiting to be unlocked, like there's some memory that he has that needs to be triggered by something else, maybe by this person who's writing in the diary, who mysteriously looks like she might be Barry and Iris's daughter and also talks a lot like Barry. But I think the basic idea is that when he came out of the Speed Force, he was like this fully actualized Jedi Master Flash with just like crazy power levels that then sort of receded once his mind started existing back in our dimension. So he winds up forgetting a lot of that stuff, and that also makes him forget how powerful he is. And the Flash's abilities are largely tied to his own understanding of them. Like he learns that he has new abilities that he didn't know that he had before, but he always had them. It's not like he gets more powerful or faster with time. It just he learns to use his powers in a more sophisticated way. So if you're wondering when we're going to see like the fully actualized Super Jedi Master Flash Barry from episode 1, it's probably going to have something to do with defeating the Thinker and the mystery person who seemingly understands the Speed Force symbols that she's writing down in that diary. Like if she's writing them, that means that she fully understands the language. So getting into Flash War, if you guys didn't know what was going on, there's a new event that's happening in the comics this year called Flash War. They just sort of teed it up in the Flash Annual this past week. It's not going to be happening till May, but it's basically meant to be the culmination of the Ginger Wally West storyline since Rebirth. So he comes out of the Speed Force, and they're sort of meshing New 52 continuity with pre-Crisis continuity and all these other eras in the comics that previously they used to just brush aside. So there's all these contradictions going on. There are characters that don't remember him. Like this is the Wally West Flash that took part in the Thinker arc, where at the end of that, he and Linda Park found out that they were pregnant with their twins. Remember, Wally West had twins, Barry and Iris also had twins separate from that. I guess twins just run in the Flash family. So Barry's trying to get him to figure out how to be Wally West and not just the version of the Flash that he's been this whole time. So he has this small identity crisis, but he starts to figure it out by the end of the story, just teeing up that, okay, I'm going to figure out who I am. And it makes it sound like they're going to be keeping him around because a lot of people are like, wait a minute, are they going to kill off this version of Wally West? What's going on? But parallel to this, in the 25th century, they're investigating wreckage at the Flash Museum. So it's sort of the aftermath of this storyline where the Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, takes Iris and Barry to the future to try and torment them. Barry got the negative Speed Force for a little while. Iris West uses a special anti-speedster gun to kill Eobard Thawne. They go back to present day, and Eobard Thawne is still dead. That's the end of it. But you don't really see the aftermath, so you're getting that in this story, and you see like all these artifacts. There are Easter eggs all over this page here. You see flashes from all kinds of different eras. This is the Walter West Flash. This is Johnny Quick from the Crime Syndicate. Remember, it's the Flash Museum, so there are dioramas of almost every adventure that the Flash has ever had. So you have these people investigating. They're like, did anybody see which version of the Flash caused these big problems? And they figure out that Iris West is the person who killed Eobard Thawne. So the Time Bureau of the future sends the Renegades back in time. If you guys don't remember the Renegades, they're like a future version of the Rogues that are actually good characters. So they go back in time to apprehend Iris West. Then at the end, they tease the beginning of Flash War. I'll say careful for spoilers. So here we go. So they tease that Zoom, the Hunter Zolomon version of the character, has been trapped in the 25th century this whole time, and he's just been trying to figure out how to help the Flash family because he's a total psycho, and he does that by challenging them. But because he was most significant to the Wally West Flash, like Professor Zoom is mostly a Barry Allen villain. I mean, he's a villain for all the Flashes, but he was most significant for the Silver Age Barry Allen character. So in the way that Geoff Johns sort of upgraded a lot of the villains during his Wally West run, he also upgraded Reverse Flash, and instead of Professor Zoom, it was Hunter Zolomon taking the mantle of Zoom, and his powers worked a little bit different, his motivations were different, but he was mostly a Wally West villain. So it totally makes sense that he would tee up the idea of getting the Flashes to war with each other to make them stronger. Like his whole idea is that he's making them better by making them fight each other. But it all sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. So it's going to be dropping in May. I'll totally do videos for it when it gets here. But just post all your TV show or Flash War questions in the comments below. There's a new round of that Flash Ring giveaway too. I'll be posting my Black Lightning video next, so I'll just announce the giveaway winner when I post that. So that should be up in the next couple of hours. But click here for my episode 12 video, and click here to rewatch that Ant-Man and the Wasp trailer. Remember, Super Bowl stuff coming up this weekend too. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.